Well, did we have a crazy week or not? That was completely insane. Let's take a look at the charts here. And it was really unbelievable the move the market made just off of Chairman Powell saying they wouldn't, well, it was in the minutes, I believe, too, that they were comfortable with having higher rates for longer. They did get the quarter point that they wanted, the market. But whenever they heard that about longer, oh my goodness, look at that. We dropped almost 200 points, stayed weak again the next day, tried to make a bit of a recovery on Friday. So the market got very surly whenever it found out it wouldn't be getting rate cuts every time the Fed met, or at least suspected that. In fact, now it appears most market participants think it will be March before there's another rate cut. So this was such a violent move, but I do want to tell you a story about my trade alert service. I put on a trade with my alert service on Monday, and then on Tuesday, not much going on. But look what happened on here. And by the way, we survived this cut, this incredible drop, and ended up exiting the trade. Unfortunately, I had to take it into it was Thursday when I was able to get out, but it was a tough day. But I don't really like going into Thursday of expiration week, but sometimes you have to. But I was able to get it off at a 26% profit. Now, this started as a calendar. This trade started as a single calendar on Monday, and with adjustments and things that I did, I was able to get a 26% profit out of it by Thursday, even with a parabolic market move. So you might want to check, if that sounds interesting to you, check out the description. You can join my income trade alerts. I believe it's MIT, I think it says in the little link there in the description, and you can find out how to join me on that. So the SPX obviously had quite a tough week of sledding, and we saw the VIX actually at one point got to 29, and then it came all the way back down here to 18. So we can see the VIX spike here. We were, as I've been saying, just tripping along in here, basically lows or near the lows of the year. And then we had this big dust up. Now, the 2 weeks that are coming ahead of us here, Christmas week, New Year's week, of course, both have Wednesday off, Christmas off this week, New Year's Day off next week. The market closed both of those days. And in fact, this Tuesday, Christmas Eve, the market will close early. I think it's 1 Eastern, I believe. You can double check that online. It's easy to Google. Just look up like CBOE market holidays 2024, and you can find out everything. So we have an early close and an actually being closed this week. And it is a strange time. Most of the news is behind us. There's not a whole lot of your market news. There's some jobless claims on Thursday, that type of thing. But it's usually a peculiar couple of weeks anyway, between Christmas and New Year. But now, with them both being in the middle of the week, that really, I think, leads for a very kind of a strange market setup in my mind. So for this week, what I'm looking at doing over here in the SPX, I'll talk about this other trade here in a moment, but I'm looking at doing a double diagonal. You said, well, why did you do that, Mark? What's up with the double diagonal? How did you pick that? Well, generally speaking, I don't like to do new calendars unless we're around 15 or below on the VIX. We're at 18. Butterflies I'm willing to do from about 14 to 25 on the VIX, and diagonals about the same, about 14 to 25 on the VIX. So why am I picking this? Well, I'm picking a double diagonal because it gives me more room than even the fly does. Look how much room I have. And in fact, if we look here at the expected move by Friday, and I hope to be out before then, but the expected move by this Friday, you see here, is plus or minus $100.97. It could go up that, go down that. That's just the market maker expected move. It could not move at all. It could move twice that. So just keep that in mind. But it's a decent barometer of how much tension is in the market too, is how much do they expect it to move. So 100 points. What if we did go up 100 points and you had put this on right here? Well, you'd be at the very upper part of your graph, but still inside it. Same thing with going down. You'd still be inside it. I like that. I like that because that way it can move pretty much that whole move around, and I'm not doing a thing. I'm just going to let it work. And not only that, if I'm looking to get 10%, let's say I put this on here for basically $1,600, it says 1580. And by the way, of course, I'd put this trade on mid to late day tomorrow if I was going to do it. And of course, if we have some crazy market conditions, well, that might not be happening. You know, if we have another 100-point down move or a 100-point up move, I don't know, things could be different. But assuming the market doesn't do a whole lot tomorrow, that's what I'd be doing. So you put it on just under $1,600. Maybe you'd want to make 160. That'd be 10%. Well, it shouldn't take you too long. I suspect that there's an excellent chance, I think, that you could be out of this thing by Tuesday afternoon if you put it on Monday afternoon at probably 7, 8, maybe 10%, because I think you're going to see some time decay come out because there is no Wednesday. But certainly, if you look at it here we are on the 24th. Look, I mean, these aren't accurate a lot of times what it says the time decay will be. The time decay is there, but what happens, volatility is so high in your shorts, it hasn't been released yet, that this can cause tension and cause it to be too valuable to melt properly the way we like it. And then you don't quite get this. So I'm not saying you'd have $250 you'd be up, but I think you could easily be up close to 160 in this area if we were there on Tuesday afternoon. And certainly I can't imagine it by Thursday we couldn't be out of this thing. I mean, there is a jobless claims, but I think you got an excellent chance in a trade like this week if it makes sense to you, if you understand it, if it's appropriate for you. As I always say, you should trade these things paper before you ever do them live. And if you ever want to do them live, just start with one lots, which is fine. You could also do them in SPY, which is 1/10 the size of the SPX, so really cheap while you're learning, but still being live. And you can also do them in ES, which is about half the price or less if you did them in the ES futures. So that's one idea for this week. And then I want to talk a little bit about a spec play. Now, it seems like the market has had some tough sledding this week. And even if it kind of trades sideways to up over the next couple of weeks, maybe want to end the year on a bang and go up, whatever. If it's truly going to be a while before there's another Fed rate cut, I think you'll probably see a reasonable pullback in the market, maybe a little weakness as we pause to digest things, reflect. That's what happens with the market. In a normal market, the way it was this past year is insane. You don't normally have it go up, 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 up. Very little down moves, really. I think you'll see maybe more of those in January. In fact, often January can just be a total change. You can have the market going one way, then you get to January and things can start to change. So this is a speculatory play. This means I'm not picking direction exactly, but I am leaning down here. And the reason is that I think we could have some weakness. So if you put on a trade like this, if we were at 59.30, look where I put this. This is a put diagonal all the way down, buying 58.50, selling 58.40. You don't have any downside risk. Your only risk would be up here, and you could let this thing work a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Look at the expirations. I've sold the 17th and bought the 21st. Now that makes a lot of sense to me if you feel like the market could be weaker next month. In fact, it could go on and be a lot weaker. Look here, you're going to be fine. Just take it off somewhere down in here. And if it does, for whatever reason, go up, you can always make an adjustment still. Now, that's one idea. Now, another idea would be to do something similar, but with a calendar. Now, you say, Mark, wait a minute. You just said you don't do calendars unless we're around 15 on the VIX. Well, that's true. Not if I expect them to trade sideways, like we like calendars to do. But if you wanted to put on a calendar where you wanted to pick a little bit of direction, maybe you lean down, you could do something like maybe a 58.50 calendar, puts or calls. I'll look at this with puts. And let's see what it looks like. And it looks pretty similar to that other one, does it? To the diagonal, except you do ultimately have downside risk. I like this though, and look how cheap that is. Now I would go 3 days wide with this. It's pretty far out in time. These options that are this far out can be very volatility sensitive. Volatility is high, so we wouldn't want the market say to go up, volatility to come down. You could get hurt in a hurry here because we're up fairly high anyway at 18 on the VIX. So just go 3 days wide. That lessens your volatility risk, and that's why I would do that. So you can put this on pretty cheaply and just let it work. And if it does come down in here, second week of January, you're going to be looking real nice. Real nice if we're down in here and you put it on when we were all the way up here. Now, whenever the market opens tomorrow, and by the time midday and the late day comes when you might want to put on a trade, by the way, you could put on a trade like this since you're putting it on for weeks out. You could put this one on earlier. I don't like to do it with trades that I want to trade in a range like this double diagonal. I usually wait till later in the day because I hate it when I have a first day move against me. So put it on later in the day, less chance of having that big of a move against you. But if you do the calendar, like this is far out, you can also just do it even earlier because you're in this thing a while. But anyway, you can see if you put this on, whatever we're at. I mean, obviously you might not be using these numbers. We could open up 50 tomorrow and maybe you'd want to, if you did this, you might end up wanting to put it at 5,900 or 58.75. That's fine. You pick them however you want to pick them to decide where to put those strikes. These strikes are completely up to you. Whatever gauge you want to use. You want to use charts? Fine. You want to use expected market maker moves? Fine. Whatever you want to use, that's up to you. But this is just an idea of how you could play your opinion that the market could be weaker or at least sideways to down in January would be putting on a trade like this. I really like this. I think it looks pretty good. Follow it on paper, if nothing else, just to see what would have happened. In fact, over there on that VIX trade, I was saying last week and the week and this week before the big move that VIX verticals, call verticals, looked really good because we were down in the 13s. That's when you want to get long to VIX, and indeed that would have worked out beautifully if you would have bought a call vertical on, say, last week or this past Monday or Tuesday. You would have been looking good as the volatility skyrocketed the next day. And the reason that you would even do that is, whenever the VIX gets in that low part of the range or an extremely high part of the range, I like to go the reversal with a long vertical. So we're up in here, I'd probably wait for it to come down. But when we get down in here, I like the idea of buying call verticals for this spike that could come along. Or when you're all the way up in here, buying put verticals. So when we do return to the mean, you make money. That's how I like to play the VIXs, with verticals. Other spreads like calendars, diagonals, butterflies, they don't work out very well in the VIX. So I just stick with doing put or call verticals long. I don't sell verticals in the VIX, just debit ones. You're buying them. Or you can buy outright puts and calls if you like. It's just a little more expensive. But I do think the best idea for this week itself is probably some kind of a non-directional trade like a double diagonal. And then you could look at a calendar or a diagonal longer term out mid to late January if you want to speculate on where we're headed. This, as you can see, just says, hey, if you trade in a range, I'm making money on time decay, and it will come to me even if we stay here, if we go up here, if we go down there. That's why I like this style of trading. That's why I got into this style of trading in 2005, because I get tired of picking direction. Now, every once in a while, I still do, like I just showed you with these directional diagonals and calendars, but I really don't want to predict where the market's going. I think the market's highly overvalued, and I think it should come down, but hey, it hasn't. So let's just not pick direction. Let's just say, hey, if you trade in this range, you try to get out of this range, and I make an adjustment. But that's my whole idea of why I picked these trades, why I picked this trade this week, and kind of what's going on in general. And I want to thank you guys, by the way, for showing up here. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Also, I told you guys before, but we've only got just a week and a half left. I have my courses are all on sale. They're normally anywhere from $250 to $275. They're 199 bucks a piece, or you can buy a bunch of them, the whole bundle of them for a real nice price. It's discounted even more. All that information is there in the description of this video. You'll also see my email address in there if you ever want to ask me a question, or if you're interested in one-on-one mentoring, just email me there. That's also, you can buy one-on-one mentoring this month at a 25% discount per hour, and then you can use it anytime. Next year is fine. So you could buy them now and not use them until January, February. That's fine, but you'd have the hours that you bought at a cheaper rate. You can also, whenever you actually, you buy whole hours, but whenever we're actually mentoring one-on-one, sometimes we might meet 30 minutes, so they can be split up as we go along the way too, and you get more one-on-one sessions with me that way, which is what it is one-on-one mentoring is you and I in a Zoom meeting room, just us, and we look at each other's brokerage platforms, talk about our planning, how to do trades, how to adjust trades, goal setting. I give you some accountability, to make sure you're always checking in with me. I'm seeing how it's going. I'm checking your thought processes, seeing if you're doing what you should be doing. Those things can be very effective in a one-on-one basis. And I've been doing that for folks. I've been mentoring folks now for 17 years. So I got a lot of experience at it. I've had retirees. I've had people who work full-time, people who do all myriad of jobs in life situations. And that's another thing about one-on-one mentoring. You can be dialed in to whatever lifestyle you have, given and how much attention you want to give or can give to the market. But that's what I have for you guys this week. I hope that all of you have a very happy holiday period. Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. And I will be back here next week to preview our last even partial week of the year. This is our last full week of the year. And next week I'll preview another one. I'll go over another trade idea, probably some trade concepts. But I hope everyone has a happy and terrific holiday period. So have a good one, folks. I'll be back with you next week. Bye-bye.